Hello crafters, this is Flavia and welcome to another Christmas all year round edition. Since Christmas is my favorite holiday and the holidays go by so fast, I like to make Christmas note cards all year round instead of saving it for the months of November and December, so I can spend more time creating with my seasonal supplies. When recording this type of video, I usually use old supplies, especially from the previous year. However, today's supplies are all new sets since Spellbinders July clubs are all about the holidays, and I am so happy about that. Let's begin by taking a closer look at the July 2024 Small Die of the Month. This is the Skating into the Holidays set with 18 metal plates included to create a pair of skate shoes and a few other great elements that we can use to create Christmas note cards, such as poinsettias, berries, sprigs, ribbons, and flowers. I cut most of these pieces out of cardstock scraps. Small die plates are great for that. And to add some dimension to this pair of skates, I will stack a few die-cut pieces. I like to cut out lots of pieces at once before I begin assembling my note cards because I feel that I can be more efficient this way, and I like to cut out more than what I need so I can have leftovers that I can use to decorate the inside of the note card or the envelope to make it match. To add texture to the front panel of this note card, I will dry emboss this navy panel using the Spellbinders June 2024 embossing folder of the month. This beautiful cardstock, by the way, is by Spellbinders in the color Indigo. I will trim off this panel to 5.5 by 4.25 inches and adhere it to a top-folding A2 size note card. A trick to quickly and perfectly line up the panel with the note card as we adhere them together is to place the note card on the corner of a stamping tool such as the Misty or on the corner of a scoring board as I have it in here. Once that is done, let's have some fun decorating the note card. To make my own A2 size envelope, I cut out these two pieces using metal plates included in the Stampendo's A2 gift card holder and envelope die set. And I will stamp a sentiment on the flap using a clear stamp included in the Spellbinder Center Pause Sentiments stamp set. Here is a closer look at all of the note cards that I created using the small die of the month. To create the sentiments in Portuguese that you will see throughout this video, I typed and printed with a LaserJet printer, and then I hot foiled it using a piece of deco foil and a laminator. Since I cannot find sentiments in Portuguese, this is what I usually do. To create this beautiful die cut and hot foiled sentiments in English, I used one of my favorite sentiment die sets called Christmas Die and Glimmer Sentiments Hot Foil Plate and Die Set. This is an amazing set with lots of great sentiments included. Because half of each sentiment needs to be hot foiled and the other half needs to be die cut, it does take a little bit of time to make it, but it really pays off in the end. And since I created lots of sentiments with this set the last time I used it, I am still using the leftover sentiments, which is such a time saver. Moving on, since the July embossing folder of the month is just beautiful, let's now create a note card that shows more of that dry embossed panel. I will begin by dry embossing this large piece of cardstock, making sure to mist it with water before placing it inside the embossing folder, just to avoid cracks and tears on the paper. This beautiful color of cardstock is by Recollections, and it is part of a cardstock pack called Cape Cod with beautiful shades of blue cardstock. After dry embossing this panel, I will trim it to 5.5 inches tall by 4.25 inches wide, and then I will cut out a section off of this dry embossed panel on a diagonal. By doing this, we will not only create a cool design for the front panel, but also create a space at the bottom where we can add a sentiment that will stand out. By the way, make sure to save this small piece that we just cut out because we will need it later. Since I am planning on hot foiling a sentiment, I will temporarily place this dry embossed panel over my note card so I can make some markings with a pencil to indicate where I can add a hot foiled sentiment. I will use a piece of Spellbinder's foil in the color Prism and sentiment plates included in the July 2024 Glimmer of the Month. I will tape the hot foil plates in place and slide a piece of foil under the plate with the pretty side facing up towards the camera. This sentiment consists of two separate plates, and I will first hot foil the word joy. I will tape the plate right at the bottom right corner, and after that I will hot foil the rest of the sentiment using another plate that says wishing you. I will place this second plate on a diagonal right under this pencil marking, and I am making sure to hot foil the sentiment all the way to the right side because I am planning on adding some leftover die cuts from the previous note card on the left side of this panel. And here is a closer look at the stunning foiled result. Now I can go ahead and begin assembling this note card using strong liquid adhesive. To make this note card feel heavy, I added two white panels inside that measure 4 by 5.25 inches, and I will now use that dry embossed leftover piece to decorate the inside of the note card. Here is a closer look at the two note cards created with the same embossing folder along with the matching envelopes. These note cards are side folding and measure 5.5 inches tall by 4.25 inches wide, and I used some leftover die cuts to decorate the envelopes. To create the next set of note cards, I will be using the Spellbinders Glimmer Kit of the month called Joyful Holly. With this set, we get one holly sprig hot foil plate and the coordinating die plate, along with two hot foil plates to hot foil the sentiment Wishing You Joy and the coordinating die plates as well. When we sign up for the Spellbinders Glimmer Kit of the month, we get the hot foil plate set along with a Spellbinders foil roll. And when we subscribe for the Spellbinders Deluxe Kabuto Club, not only we get all of the subscription clubs, but also a few bonus items such as this coordinating stencil that I am using to add color to these images that I hot foiled using golden foil, which by the way makes the process definitely faster and more fun for those who are not really good at coloring, such as myself. After adding color to these sprigs, I die cut it using the coordinating die plate, making sure to secure the metal plate in place with a piece of low-tech tape. And since I will adhere this dark panel to the front of my note card, I will now go around the edges of these die cut sprigs with a marker that has a similar color as this panel, so later these die cut sprigs blend in with the darker color of cardstock. It really is just a matter of preference and what mood you're in. However, if you do like having the white contrast, you can definitely leave these die cuts as they are. Then, to make these berries pop, I will go over them with a shimmer pen and top it with Ranger Glossy accents. Off screen, I hot foil the sentiment Wishing You Joy, and now I want to go over the edges of this panel with a blending brush and add a little bit of depth with a darker shade of brown ink. After that, we can add the die cut holly sprigs and some red rhinestones here and there for some added interest. Here is a closer look at the completed note cards, and I love how it turned out. These are side folding and measure 5.5 inches wide by 4.25 inches tall. For the green background, I used Spellbinders cardstock in the color Forest, and for the navy background, I used Spellbinders cardstock in the color Indigo. The final set that I have to show you is the Spellbinders July 2024 stitching die of the month called Stitched All Wrapped Up, which is simply amazing. With this set, we get metal plates to create a large bow that will cover the entire front of an A2 size note card. We actually get two design options for the bow, and both options look great. Since these are stitching die plates, the metal plates will cut out lots of tiny holes around the edges that we can use to do some stitching, which I love and works as a therapy session for me. However, if stitching is not for you, you can definitely skip that step. These metal plates not only cut out the cardstock but also leave engraved markings on the paper that we can use as a guide as we stitch. So the whole process is pretty easy and you do not have to be an expert to do this at all. As long as you go over all of the engraved lines on the paper, you will be fine even if it is a complete mess in the back. That doesn't really matter because once we glue these pieces to a note card, nobody will ever know. To do the stitching, I am using DMC floss and a tapestry needle. As you begin stitching and feed the needle through the first hole on the paper, make sure to tape the end of the thread to the back with a piece of strong tape so you do not have to hold it in place as you stitch. That will definitely make the process easier. And make sure to take your time here and be careful because metallic floss tends to get tangled easily and we want to avoid that. I am speeding up the video here just to be mindful of your time and not make it longer than it needs to be, but know that I was definitely taking my time during this process. To adhere these vertical and horizontal ribbon pieces, I will use strong liquid adhesive and press it down in place until the glue has dried. Then I will use foam adhesive to adhere the bow to the front panel, adding this way a little bit of dimension. This is a side folding A2 size note card and it measures 5.5 inches tall by 4.25 inches wide. To add some texture to the background panel, I used the embossing folder of the month and I will add a die cut and hot foiled sentiment at the bottom right corner of this front panel. Here is a closer look at the final note cards, and I hope you enjoyed this video and felt inspired. If you're interested, I have a list of all products used in the description box down below. If you make something inspired by this video, make sure to tag me on Instagram. For pictures and more information, make sure to visit my blog. And if you're interested in watching more Christmas card making videos, I have added a playlist in the description box down below. I hope you have a wonderful day. Thank you for spending this time with me and happy crafting!